12th in the league, went 9-9 and has them in postseason play as the #1 seed in the WBIT.
With that tip, we are underway in the Women's Basketball Invitation Tournament. And a quick look for Texas Tech that rims off is how things get started. And the Texas native chases this down. Carly Wenzel, who comes from San Antonio and fills up this Virginia Tech roster, brings it up the floor. Here's a look at the starting unit for the Hokies.
Yeah, Lonnie White coming off a good game. Mackie Nelson comes off the bench to help this group.
White, our feature player, in hand, hands off to Wenzel, and she will see a three go up and rattle out. Neither team fruitful on their opening possession. Texas Tech had a transition look that did not go down. You've already walked us through the 1-2 punch. How about the rest of the starting five for the Red Raiders?
Yeah, and Sonogo down low will be a key player. Can she guard Rose Mishaw one-on-one so that Texas Tech can extend their defense and defend the really good shooting Virginia Tech Hokies?
Danae Fitz also in the starting lineup. She played on this floor in postseason action for Baylor a year ago in the NCAA tournament. So a second look in a key postseason moment. And you know how well-traveled so many of these players are. We'll walk you through so many storylines today. Here's contact, and boy, it's slow to get up off the floor initially as the foul is going to be on Mishaw. Here's the point of concern right now. Is everybody going to pop up with no signs of where? That seems to be the case. And getting ready to head to the line. You know, you talked in the open, you referenced the Mesquite, Texas native, Jasmine Shavers, averaging 14.7 alongside Maupin's right at 14 as well. They are responsible for the majority of the scoring. Your real question coming into this one is who could support those two?
Yeah, they've been pretty consistent. They were again the other night with 17 apiece against Wyoming in their victory on the road. But someone else has to step up. The other night, it was Kyla Freeline.
Hokies, after the made free throws, find themselves trailing. Looking for the first bucket of their second WBIT game in this building in the last handful of days, and this call going to go against Virginia Tech, as it'll be Texas Tech basketball, and a quick couple picked up by Rose Mishaw all of a sudden.
That's really a big story. Rose Mishaw's been in foul trouble, fairly often this season. Virginia Tech has overcome that most of the time. A lot is going to fall on the freshman Kale Peterson right now. She's going to have to play extended minutes with Rose Mishaw on the bench with those two fouls.
Takes away to some degree that advantage Virginia Tech has. They're one of the few teams in the tournament that have that inside option as well as the ability to run and shoot it effectively from the perimeter. So Texas Tech looking to negate that, getting some good news with those two quick whistles.
Yeah, and speaking of shooting, that's what Texas Tech has done to turn this season around. They had lost 9 in a row before, like you said, winning 4 of their last 5.
Really put it together in the tournament. Felt like they were in that Oklahoma State game, maybe to make an even deeper run in the Big 12 tournament. But it was the Colorado contest that turned it all around for them.
Yeah, overtime win at home, went to the tournament and won 2 games, beat Utah, a team in the NCAA.
It looked a lot like this. There's the attack of the basket that pays dividends, and a chance to finish with an and one opportunity coming.
Yeah, offensive rebounds. Shavers gets the advantage, being guarded by the 5-man. She had a quickness advantage right there and took advantage of it.
Shavers also well-traveled, Mississippi State transfer, spent some time in the SEC before working her way to Red Raider country.
Yeah,
this her junior
free
campaign.
throw shooter at 84%.
Well, and she's responsible for the 5 points that are up on the board right now.
Now, we haven't mentioned this yet. Texas Tech presses all the time, and they do want to kind of speed you up, get you out of rhythm, and they'll randomly trap, but a turnover right there, a little bit of an unforced turnover on Virginia Tech's part, and they do turn you over, among the best in the league at forcing turnovers in the Big 12.
Yeah, right at 20 of them per contest, 18 plus along the way this season. Able to stay in control underneath, but it's swatted away by Wenzel, who looks up front. That's going to be too far up front, gathered up by Fritz. Mentioned she was here with Baylor. She was at Iowa State before working to Baylor, and now Texas Tech has stayed with a Big 12 flavor but here with a completely different group. You talk about the defense for Texas Tech in that press. Here are the numbers to back up that conversation.
Yeah, third in the Big 12 in steals. They force almost 19 turnovers a game, and if you hang on to the ball and get close to the rim, they'll block your shot too.
If you're wondering how Texas Tech can pull the upset against the tournament's top seed, that would be the formula. So far, so good for the crew out of Lubbock. There was a window there for White. Shot's going to be taken instead by Baker. Rims off. Jump in the pass. Baker a little aggressive defensively that time, and the sophomore punches it out. Substitution coming. Mackie Nelson into the contest in place of Matilda Eck.
Yeah, Texas Tech only averages 63 points a game. They have struggled on the offensive end shooting until just recently when they really have caught fire.
Well, and it's been that combo you've talked so much about already, serving as the catalyst. Maupin backs out. By the way, Nelson into the contest, double figures in 3 of her last 4 games as she has helped lift the Hokies. Shot clock to 5. Contested beautifully by Baker as she allowed no lane to the bucket.
Yeah, it's only 2 seconds. Baseline out of bounds. Baker had an advantage right there. She can guard a guard, and she's long, and there's that length.
So important her play in these moments with Mishaw out of the mix for Virginia Tech thanks to those 2 early fouls. Enough separation that it creates a shooting opportunity just ahead of the horn. And Jalen Bristow, the sophomore, knocks one down.
She just came in the game for that purpose. She replaced Freelon, caught the ball on the baseline out of bounds, was aware of the shot clock, and got it off just in time.
Yeah, just 2 seconds on the shot clock inbound-wise. You watch the horn as she releases this. On target for the Holiday Texas native, another of the Iowa State transfers. She averages just over 3 per game, already having matched that with a key early 3. An 8-0 run to start things for the Red Raiders.
And Bristow can really shoot the ball despite only averaging 3 points a game. And this game is eerily similar to the other night against A&T where the Hokies got behind 9-0. And Carly Wenzel answered the bell the other night and she did it again.
It's the Lone Star State product with the first bucket for Virginia Tech. Wenzel knocks it down. Quick answer on the other end in transition. Those two know a little bit about one another. They trade buckets here. They were teammates in travel ball. Both Texans that are very familiar. It's going to be interesting to see as they guard one another, try to limit one another throughout the course of the day because there is great familiarity between those 2 individuals, the Texas natives.
Yeah.
Eck back into the contest.
Carly Wenzel didn't have a really good game against A&T, but she helped jumpstart the offense when they were behind 9-0. And the other key figure during that stretch of time, Lonnie White, along with Mackie Nelson, who is going to the free throw line right now for Virginia Tech.
Well, you notice Eck coming back into the contest wearing a mask today. That a result of an elbow she caught in round 1 of the tournament on Thursday, Coach.
Yeah, we might have to take a look at that later. Yeah, it was a pretty good blow, and she did not return to the game, but looks to be just fine with that mask.
Now, folks no doubt wondering, well, what's the deal with the mask? Well, seems to be, as you said, no real lingering effects, but it's a precautionary measure, we're told. That thrown out of bounds and into the Hokies bench, so it will be Virginia Tech basketball.
Texas Tech with a really small lineup now. Freelon at the center spot at only 6'1", and of course Virginia Tech is very small out there too, with Cale Peterson at the 5 spot.
Press still dialed up by the Red Raiders, still dialed up in the early stages as they're up 10-3. That 8-0 run to start things for Texas Tech, setting the tone.
Couple long defenders over there with Bristow and Freelon.
Blocking foul going to be picked up by Bristow as Witzel got ready to cruise the baseline. So a couple picked up by Jalen Bristow, who you remember had the big 3 earlier. So she has a couple of fouls on the Texas Tech side will depart as Logan Johnson, a sophomore, comes on out of Houston, Texas.
Yeah, and now Texas Tech is really small, basically with 4 guards and a forward in Freelon out there.
Work into a shootable location, and it is knocked down by Cale Peterson.
The freshman is really having a solid season. always seems under control. Nothing phases her, and she's made a lot of big shots for this team this season.
Well, you can talk about what she's done defensively of late, and we will before the day is done,
yeah.
but an offensive moment there.
She's got a talent for some shot blocking.
Knows a little bit about it. Had 5 of them in the tourney opener. And that's some rare air, as is this shooting ability. From way downtown, Maupin drains a 3.
Yeah, you got to find Maupin. Only 29%. That's a little misleading. Has shot it much better lately.
Catches the iron. How about the putback? Flying in there under control is Peterson, proving to be a scoring threat from anywhere right now.
Undersized, but not underskilled. Has really good instincts for rebounding, blocking shots, and can shoot the 3.
All right, you talk about blocking shots. That was the most since Kitley, those 5 blocks the last time around. Thanksgiving, 23, the last time that type of shot blocking performance was put on, and you know what that name means to Virginia Tech history.
Yeah, that's pretty good company.
5 to shoot, and too strong. In fact, it's going to be a traveling violation to turn it over. It'll be Hokie basketball on the other side of the break. But an early for the Hokies thus far, although 0 for 3 from three-point land thus far. That's certainly a category to watch because, as you just said, Coach, it's been one of the bread and butter areas for this Virginia Tech team.
And 5 turnovers forced so far by Texas Tech is the reason for this advantage for the Red Raiders.
Well, the 8-0 run that Texas Tech went on, the difference in this contest in the early going, Virginia Tech having trimmed the lead to 6.
And Texas Tech will pick you up. Sometimes they'll just play man-to-man. Then sometimes they'll randomly trap. And they try to keep you off balance.
That ends up out of bounds underneath. And Texas Tech, what have you seen that has been so effective for the Red Raiders so far in this contest?
Well, so far they haven't had to help on the post. Rose Michal got in foul trouble, so they've been able to extend their defense. And Virginia Tech is 0 for 4 beyond the arc, and that's exactly why they've been able to extend their defense and pay attention to Virginia Tech shooters.
Well, another 3. This one won't go. Attempt to put it back. And the board's clean by the Hokies.
Yeah, Freelon's made some nice plays, but hadn't been able to finish around the rim right there. 4-guard lineup. Virginia Tech, a long 4-guard lineup. People like Baker and Eck, big for wings.
3 minutes even remaining in the opening period. Happy to have you with us, I should say, on our ESPN Plus coverage of the WBIT. We thank you for spending a portion of what's a busy sports Sunday with us. How about this effort to relentlessly put that back? Freelon had no desire to be turned aside.
No, and it was created by the dribble drive, which makes the defense move, which frees up. There's Freelon's man. Freelon is able to get position and then go up through a crowd, through contact. But again, the penetration calls her opportunity on the offensive glass.
Freelon, a native of Denver, Colorado. She averages 4.4 as well as 4 boards per contest. Looking for the and one opportunity. Has it. You'll notice her speed. She was a track star in high school. Not usually getting that kind of resistance in track, but she didn't mind it. Little stop and pop that is off the side of the iron from Eck. And it eventually caroms out of bounds. Will be Texas Tech ball.
Yeah, that was a good look for Virginia Tech in transition. You take Eck from 10 feet all day long.
Saw Coach Duffy there. She talked about keeping the rhythm of the season with that extra long layoff from the ACC tournament into the WBIT on Thursday. Not often in this sport that you get nearly a couple of weeks to try and figure it out. Both coaches with the challenge of trying to keep their teams engaged. Lonnie White has been, and she blocks this away underneath. It'll be out of bounds and stay on this end of the floor. A big, big block for our star player.
It was interesting, Coach Duffy. They came back after losing to Virginia Tech. You see the block right here by Lonnie White. But they practiced really hard. Then took 4 days off for spring break and then came back and settled into a routine until they knew their fate. And since then, they've been prepping for this WBIT.
Well, and for Texas Tech, as a foul is going to be whistled on the interior. That was White trying to disrupt. And there with Nelson, the foul is going to be assessed to Mackie Nelson. The first personal on her with 2:15 to play. 5th on Virginia Tech, and it will mean Sonogo to the line. Sonogo, pardon me, to the line here.
And you know I love the chess
Texas
match.
native.
Sonogo comes back in, and then Ramaya White for Virginia Tech comes back in, or comes in, rather.
You know, we're talking about Texas Tech and the experience they had. Coaching staff saying they kept everybody there, made sure that they kept everybody in unison and all together. And of course, they then had to make the trip to Wyoming and then the long journey here to Blacksburg, but handling all the challenges of becoming road warriors in this WBIT very well thus far.
Yeah, they didn't know whether they were going to be in postseason or not. Virginia Tech at least was pretty sure they would either be in the NCAA or the WBIT.
Had the watch party, heard their names called, kept everybody steady to make sure the focus stayed there. And you want to when you're on the kind of run they've been on. You referenced how different her team has been in the last 5 games versus that 9-game run prior to that.
Yeah, and Coach Gerlich was really forthcoming. She said during that 9-game losing streak, they were playing people close. They were 2 possessions away, and they just hung in there, kept a great attitude, and kept getting better.
Finally broke through. This team, many around the program saying, and you can see it right here on this shot from Maupin, that this has been as relaxed a team to experience a stretch like that as you'll ever run across. They've certainly been relaxed inside Castle Coliseum here to begin the contest. A 6-0 run across the last minute 4 seconds. It has built a 19-7 advantage.
Yeah, and they forced 6 turnovers, but I think also the fact that Rose Michaud is not in the game as a kind of an anchor to the Virginia Tech offense has hurt their execution playing with this smaller lineup, although they have played with this some because Rose has been in trouble before in this season.
It's a great point. Takes that 2-faceted portion of the Virginia Tech attack and allows Texas Tech to respond. But this is the type of response the Hokies are looking for. White with a 3.
Yeah, off the dribble penetration by Mackie Nelson. That's the duo that did it against North Carolina A&T for Coach Megan Duffy.
That's also the first made 3. First goes down on the 5th try for Virginia Tech, and you just showed us earlier how important that 3 ball is. Interior laid home. Nice job by Freeland underneath.
Now, Texas Tech, on the other hand, has been able to go inside, either on the offensive glass or out of the offense.
Well, that's back to that point you made a moment ago about the personnel situation as it currently stands. Inside the final minute of the opening period in Castle Coliseum. What a job to will that shot up by Karis Baker.
Really good. Threw some contact, kept her eyes on the rim. Karis Baker has really improved from last year.
Baker 1 for 3 her start from the floor. The Connecticut native. Maupin weighing her options. Single digits on the shot clock now. She goes around the world to get there. Does get the shot up, pulled down by Wenzel. Ahead of the horn, just. They win the first period, 21-12. The 8-0 run, followed by that late first period 6-0 run. White puts it on the floor. That is gathered up by Mackie Nelson. Somehow saves the possession. A tie-up, the alternating possession arrow is with the Red Raiders. It'll be Texas Tech basketball.
Yeah, and we told you how good they are at forcing turnovers. They get after you. Good pressure on the basketball, good help side that time.
Little window for Maupin to work it all the way around the top of the key. Down the right side, but Wenzel was waiting. True block from Carly Wenzel.
Yeah, she has a knack of blocking shots. Blocked a lot earlier in the year, and of course, playing the point guard spot, she doesn't necessarily get those shots close to the rim to have an opportunity, but she got that one.
3rd block as a unit for Virginia Tech. That's all 3 in the game. This falls right into her hands as well, and unselfish play. She gives it up to Lonnie White, just couldn't quite finish.
Had the numbers, 2-on-1.
Through the first minute of the second period. Texas Tech taking its time. This is the pace that the Red Raiders hope to set along the way. Looking for a different finish on that shot, but the possession is saved as that's gathered up inside by Wynn.
Good defense by Lonnie White on the shot by Shaver.
Call's going to keep it on this end of the floor.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to.
Virginia Tech bench wasn't sure, and you said it, Coach. After talking it over between our officials, it will go the other way.
Yeah, they got it right, like they usually do.
That's one thing about having multiple sets of eyes. Kayla Maxey, Timothy Bryant, Adrienne Gilmore-Nichols get together, and this outstanding crew seeing to it that they make the best of every opportunity as they're called upon in postseason action. Congratulations to that third team on the floor with the honor of working a WBIT game. Inside to Eck. She tried to save it on the baseline, but stepped out.
A little slip ball screen right there. Had a good look at it. Just couldn't come up with it. And Texas Tech going the other way, trying to extend this lead.
Maupin, the only player starting all 35. Such a staple in this lineup. That's grabbed right over top of White. Stays on this end. And Maupin finishes the possession with a 3-ball.
Another offensive rebound, kicked in and out. That's 8 offensive rebounds to go along with the 8 turnovers there for us. That's a lot of extra possessions for the Red Raiders.
This time it translates into the third 3-point basket of the contest for Texas Tech. Contrast that with just a single 3 for the Hokies so far. Raiders on the move again. Maupin will slow things up a bit. And one of the things you were talking about coming into this was pace. And Texas Tech controlling the scoreboard because they have controlled that thus far. And Shavers adds what's going to be a 4th 3, back-to-back 3 balls.
Yeah, she's really highly recruited out of high school. The number 55 recruit in America on ESPN, and of course chose Mississippi State. But back to her home state.
Storyline, the 2 home state products that lead the way for the Red Raiders. Eck trying to work closer to the basket, but time will run out before Virginia Tech gets a shot up. A shot clock violation turns it over. Here are those last 2 3-point baskets.
Yeah, offensive rebound, everybody's collapsed, you kick it out, you get a wide open look right there. And then the drive, the quick reversal, and the wide open corner 3 from Shavers.
Red Raiders 4 of 9 from beyond the arc. Virginia Tech 1 of 6, if you're wondering. And Sanogo. Sarah Sanogo, junior, averages 4.8, 3.8 rebounds. She's a JUCO All-American from her time at Odessa College and hails from Paris, France, back into the contest.
Yeah, Texas Tech dominating the backboard, 16-6 at this point.
Boy, plus 10 advantage in that key category. Weaving through traffic, and before she can turn around, the foot slides, and it's a traveling call.
Yeah, Texas Tech has more offensive rebounds than Virginia Tech has rebounds right now, despite the fact that Sanogo has been in and out of the lineup after picking up that early first foul.
That's an outstanding point. I'll underscore what you said. 10 rebounds of the offensive variety out of the 16 total. Just remarkable. Here's a 3 for Wenzel. A bit off the mark. Texas Tech with a rebound, and they're limiting Virginia Tech to those single shots when in the case of a moment ago, the Hokies even get a shot up on a given possession.
Yeah, and that was outstanding defense by the Red Raiders. That's what they hang their hat on.
Shavers continuing to work her defender down and ultimately using every bit of the rim to drive it home.
He had a lot of contact both ways right there, but Shavers gets it in the basket.
Lead to 29-12 at the 5:53 mark of the second period, and Wenzel's going to be called for the player control foul. As the Texas Tech Red Raiders are set for the inbound. This worth another look.
Watch Shavers, legal guarding position. I think Wenzel gets away with it if she doesn't extend that left arm, but watch her push off with that left arm. That's what the officials saw.
And you saw the 2 bodies come close together, and then the separation created. Wenzel picks up the foul. is going to be another whistle out top, and it'll add to the frustration on that Hokies bench right now with some of what has transpired in the last few moments. Back into the contest is Logan Johnson, and a breather for Bailey Maupin now.
Logan Johnson will look for her to put the ball on the floor. She's a drive first, strong guard.
Houston Christian product out of Houston, Texas is Johnson.
And more importantly for Virginia Tech, Michal back in the game.
Takeaway. Nelson lays it home.
That's what she does. Leads the team in steals and has made big plays at key moments all years. We'll see if that can jumpstart this Hokie team here in front of the home crowd.
Mentioned 3 out of the last 4 games she's worked into double figures, a 16-7 split in the assist to turnover ratio during that stretch. This a little too strong. Guess who's there for the rebound? There is a collision as Nelson converges on the basketball. She has provided a spark, that's for sure.
Always does. She'll take a charge, get a loose ball, get a steal, and even made a big three-pointer, only her 6th three-pointer of the year the other night at a critical time against A&T.
Trying to ignite the Virginia Tech rally from behind. The lead still at 29-14 Raiders. Midway point of the second quarter. White looking for an opening in the defense. There was not one. Nice feed. Shot clock down to 3 again. This is going to be a traveling call and a turnover.
Now that's 12 now for the 2 Techs.
All right, I got to ask you, what's been the difference as you look at the numbers so far in this one today?
Foul trouble for Virginia Tech. 3 people with 2 fouls each, but rebounding 17-7, 10 offensive rebounds for Texas Tech, and 12 turnovers for Virginia Tech. And we're only 15 minutes into this game.
And you counted up the total possessions that translates to?
22 extra possessions for the Red Raiders. Hokies jump into a 2-3 zone.
Able to shoot from the outside of that is Freeland, and just about everything she has put up having gone down so far. 3 of 4 from the field in the game.
Yeah, 7 points, 4 rebounds. I think all 4 of them may be offensive rebounds.
Also knocked down a free throw in addition to that work from the field to notch those 7. Somehow able to stay in and send it to the other end. Texas Tech, well, a whistle.
Sanogo with her second.
Yep, right out top.
Oh, no.
That's actually going to go against Maupin, I think.
Yeah, I thought they had called Sanogo on the illegal screen.
Yes. Ended up being, well, they just put that in on Logan Johnson. So.
And that'll be a 3rd foul.
Quickly.
Rose Michal will be headed back to the bench, and Cale Peterson, the freshman, comes in with a lot of responsibilities if Virginia Tech is going to make a comeback. Out here in the middle floor, good position, but just a little bit of twist. And that's been a point of emphasis all year, partner. We've seen it called in every single game we've done together.
Well, she picked up 2 almost right out of the gate, and a 3rd now, sending Michal back to the bench. What a storyline that is developing before our eyes.
She's played 4 minutes so far in this game, and I can't imagine her coming back in before the second half.
Shavers. So much of Texas Tech's work done in the interior, and a little bit of trouble trying to gain balance for Mackie Nelson, and foul a reason for that.
Yeah, good hustle by Mackie Nelson. She came a long way to get that rebound. Took off on the fast break, trying to make something happen in transition, and got run over. Accidentally, but still a foul.
Well, put it in the scorebook. Departing is Layla Wells, freshman, now taking a seat. Wenzel, a little bit too deep.
Yeah, Sanogo, we talked about how good a shot blocking team this is, led by Sanogo with 48 on the season coming into tonight.
Well, and Wenzel so far, if you're wondering about it, 1 for 4 her start. She has just the 1 basket so far. It was the first Virginia Tech points of the game. Nothing since. Her counterpart tried one there that would not roll home for Bailey Maupin.
The Wenzel's been back-to-back single-digit scoring games, and that does not bode well for Virginia Tech when she doesn't get into double digits.
It had not happened since January until this recent stretch for Carly Wenzel. That'll work out. Inside to Baker.
Really nice shot by Baker. A little left-handed jump shot on the baseline over Sanogo.
Well, Wenzel thought initially, you saw from her body language, that whistle was going to go against her for the aggressive attack of the basketball. Then she said, oh, no, I like that after all. Ends up being offensive.
I thought that was going to be against Wenzel also. But fortunately for the home team right now, they've got the basketball going the other way with the foul on Texas Tech.
That foul was on Moppin.
The fourth foul on the Red Raiders, so the next one will put the Hokies on the free throw line. Been a pretty clean game as far as fouls, except for the Hokies have accumulated some by just a couple players.
Well, that is 2 on Moppin. Just keep that in mind. And here's Virginia Tech with an answer on the other end of the floor, trying to close the gap at the 2.5-minute mark in the opening half of round 2. WBIT action in Blacksburg.
Yeah, Shavers, another combo guard, can play the point as well as the 2. Moppin, we'll see how they operate offensively without Moppin.
Well, looked like she took something off the face there momentarily out top. Possession ends on a positive note for Texas Tech. It looks as if Shavers is going to be able to continue.
Yeah, Sanogo with a really nice ISO move right there. 3 or 4 inches bigger than K.O. Peterson. Got the shot off with no problem with the strong right hand.
The three-pointer with contact and a chance to make 1 of 4 from the floor. This is her first chance from the charity stripe in this one, and knocks it down, as has been the case.
Yeah, and Virginia Tech is good offensively. She's going to the free throw line. She's 4th in the ACC in free throw attempts and shoots at 77%, which tailed off a little bit at the end of the year, but still 13th in the ACC in free throw percentage.
3 very important ones as she was fouled in the act of shooting from beyond the arc. She connects on them and cuts the deficit to 12.
And again, we'll see how Texas Tech operates without Moppin running the offense.
Castle trying to get in behind the Hokies. This is where that top seeding and home court advantage could pay dividends. Red Raiders 3 to shoot. That'll reset the shot clock, and it stays on this end. Another offensive rebound, and more importantly right now, Hokies taking a deep breath as Peterson is slow to get up.
Yeah, Shavers and Maupin both out of the game right now for the Red Raiders. We've got Bird Martin in. She ran a little point guard right there.
Did you see what happened to Peterson on this sequence, Coach? Here's another look at it.
Yeah, just fighting through a screen. It doesn't look like anything. Again, it looks like a basketball play. There was a lot of contact.
Remember, the shot clock did reset, so double digits with which to work for the Red Raiders. How about this shot from up top? Drained home by Kelly Mora, a sophomore, hometown kid out of Lubbock, Texas, with a big bucket in tournament play.
She's played 22 minutes all year, comes in. First time she touches it, she knocks down a big 3.
You think about Bristow's 3 earlier and her 3 here. You ask for surrounding cast members from Texas Tech to step up. Boy, have they ever. Eck will answer on the other end for Virginia Tech.
Hokies trying to get a little momentum into the locker room to cut into this deficit.
Half minute to go. Opening stanza, 21-12 Texas Tech. Here in the second, 15-12, just the 1 bucket separating the teams in the second quarter, but it all adds up to 36-24. Single digits on the shot clock now. Down to 3 to shoot. It will be a 3. And that is punched aside. The call is that it will stay on this end of the floor. You hear the fans reacting in Castle because they thought that was an on-the-back call there.
Yeah, it looked like there was a lot of contact on the offensive rebound. Ball may have gone off Virginia Tech. 5 seconds left to go. 12-point lead for Texas Tech with a baseline out of bounds.
It's not that they were disputing the call on whose basketball it was going to be in terms of last touched.
Right.
It was the contact prior that you heard the building reacting to. Here comes the inbound for the Red Raiders. Punched out and chased down. One more chance for Texas Tech, but time runs out before the Red Raiders can add anything further. Lady Red.
Yeah, and a great player in her own right at Notre Dame, played on some great teams. Both these coaches know what championship teams look like. Of course, Texas Tech with one of the all-time great names in women's basketball history in Cheryl Swoops.
No doubt about it. And you think about the past for this program. You used to see them in the NCAA tournament year in, year out. You know what the basketball history is there for the crew out of Lubbock. Doing a job of trying to restore that as road warriors here in the WBIT. So far, so good at the half. This is taken away by Eck, and the Hokies trying to turn the page and rewrite the narrative with a solid start. Lonnie White lays home the finish.
Yeah, Hokies came out, ran a set play for Lonnie White to get a good look at a three, but she got one in transition off of a turnover. There's some points off turnovers that Virginia Tech would like to turn around in this second half.
We talked about Megan Duffy. She referenced in conversation with us prior to the game today, having been in this postseason spot many times and challenging her team to do what they have done all year that has made them so effective, that earned them the #1 beside their name from a seeding standpoint. We'll see if they can do just that here in the third quarter. Remember, we shared with you earlier, second and third quarters where the game was won for both these teams the last time out. You know what happened in the second in this one. Third quarter becomes critical.
Yeah, and Texas Tech with back-to-back turnovers. They had a whole bunch in the first half, too. They now have 14 turnovers themselves, but Virginia Tech has not been able to convert those into points.
Well, there's an offensive rebound and a putback. Little dose of the own medicine. Virginia Tech handing Texas Tech, and it's Peterson, as you said, doing so.
Yeah, getting the start in the second half. Rosemary Shaw in foul trouble, and Peterson with a really big offensive rebound. Watch her pursue the ball and then go up through contact and finish the play. She does not play like a freshman at all. Really hasn't all season.
It went inside out before she worked her way to the line to try and complete the three-point play. She will. 7th point for Peterson. And Virginia Tech closing up the gap. Now 7, the deficit. What a response out of the locker room for the Hokies.
Yeah, a little 5-0 run to start the second half. That's exactly what Virginia Tech wanted. See what the Hokies do here, staying man-to-man.
Utilizing the building as they bring the fans to life with this third quarter beginning. Fritz had to get rid of it after planting that foot. Had plenty of help from Maupin. Single digits on the shot clock again. All the passing lanes closed up, shooting lane as well. Peterson has the block this time around to turn it aside. Remember, she's coming off a contest with 5, and we told you that was Kitley-esque. Take a look at this.
Good defensive possession. Hokies communicated, talked, got the block shot at the end. Now only 1 on the shot clock.
She talked Virginia Tech adjustments, and you are seeing them. A takeaway by Wenzel. We're talking the history of these programs. This is a program not far removed from a Final Four trip in Dallas just a couple of short years ago. Building blocks there, and we get a whistle. Has some contact away from the ball.
That crowd back in the game. Foul right there. Baker trying to post up the smaller Logan Johnson. And this is a perfect start for Coach Duffy's group out of the locker room. A couple turnovers, an offensive rebound, fouls going their way also.
Yeah, absolutely according to script thus far in this third quarter for Virginia Tech. A 5-0 start to the third. Looking for more on this possession. Single digits on the shot clock for the Hokies now. Put up, goes off the window, and a rebound for the Red Raiders.
Yeah, Baker had the size advantage, though. Good job by Johnson forcing a tough shot.
Offensive call. Hokies earn another possession here.
4 turnovers to start.
They emerged from the locker room noticeable.
Yeah, and on both ends of the floor, but that's 4 fouls on Texas Tech. Hokies will be shooting in the bonus for a long time in this quarter, it looks like, and no fouls on Virginia Tech in this third quarter.
Well, keep in mind, 3 on Shavers and 3 on Sonogo already. That's worth watching. You know there were 3 earlier in the contest assessed to Mishaw. That's still a scenario worth watching. Some of the key players in this game battling some foul trouble with a lot of basketball left. A little too much under this pass, and it's out of bounds.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like we're beating a dead horse, but that's 5 turnovers and a blocked shot in 6 possessions to start the second half. Texas Tech has struggled to score all year, but they scored on second chance points and turnovers forced in the first half.
We talked about those 22 additional possessions which stand out. Speaking of takeaways, here's one. And Fritz, familiar with the building, lays home a basket. That's the first bucket for Fritz, who we shared with you earlier, played here with Baylor. She was at Iowa State to begin things, went to Baylor, now back here the second postseason in a row after playing in the NCAAs a year ago with the Bears out of Waco. Here with the Lubbock crew now, and a foul as Eck had it in her hands. Let's go back to the most recent takeaway.
Yeah, nice play by Fritz. Just a little poke away. Easy basket, the easiest one anybody will have tonight. But on the ensuing press, Maupin picks up another foul, and the Hokies are shooting 2 free throws already in the third quarter, where Texas Tech hasn't forced Virginia Tech to commit any fouls.
Yep, and that is Maupin, as we just told you a moment ago, on the watch with a couple's third there, as she now has 3 alongside Sonogo with just that many, and Shavers as well. So you talk about a big trio out of the starting group for Texas Tech, all now with 3 fouls.
Yeah, Maupin played, now Shavers is back in.
Eck making it count in that mask if you missed it in the first half, because she took an elbow to the face. We're told it's a precautionary measure. It's affected her game in no way. Just what you would expect her to be thus far, and glad to see her still out there on the floor. Here is Wynn from downtown, and she will drain another. Jada Wynn, the junior out of California, who came over from Colorado with a big bucket to stretch it back to 10.
Yeah, a little penetration. That was a set play to create the penetration and kick it to her on the wing. She only shoots 23%. Looked like 100% on that play.
Yorba Linda, California native, Jada Wynn, the junior. It was against her former team that Texas Tech got rolling in that Colorado game, which ignited the run that has propelled them to Blacksburg.
Jada Wynn, both her parents are college basketball coaches.
Isn't that something? You know a little bit about that life. Blocked away. I asked you earlier, and it's worth sharing with the fans as well, what's the biggest challenge of getting a team ready for these survive and advance games that we all live for?
Now, they understand, you know, win and you keep playing, lose, and your season is over.
Every shot critical, every bounce of the basketball. Fans hanging on now. Reset of the shot clock for a second time. A couple of big resets. There's the reemergence of that offensive rebounding element for Texas Tech.
Yeah, if you're not making first ones, keep getting second ones.
Shavers now with the left hand. Tries to turn around and can't get it to fall. Mackie Nelson will slow it up. Nelson directing a little traffic now. Inside 5 minutes to play in the third. Remember, Virginia Tech started the third quarter 5-0. Now just a bucket better than Texas Tech at the moment. 7-5 split. Here's a whistle on Thursday.
Yeah, UNLV, the higher seed, leading Florida right now. 2 good basketball teams. And, you know, I thought that was interesting with the attendance, and I'm sure the ratings will do the same thing. The Caitlin Clark influence, everybody wanted to know if that would be sustained with women's basketball. There's no question women's basketball is continuing to grow all across the country.
They're certainly enjoying it in Castle Coliseum on this March Sunday. And a big feed inside. That's going to be lost out, as this will stop the clock with 4:37 to play. Yeah, you were looking at some of the other scores around, and so many highly competitive basketball games being contested for the right to hang on.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, the right to go to Hinkle. You got Maya Pete in, 6'6", transfer from Arkansas Pine Bluff, and all SWAC selection. is a big physical presence in there, and she didn't play against Wyoming, which surprised me a little bit. She's been playing during this stretch where Texas Tech has played well down the stretch.
She is a native of Chandler, Arizona. You said it, 3 points and a couple of rebounds per contest when she is there. Checking into the contest is Freeland again. And to the line, Johnson, who had the drive that time.
Freeland's had a solid game, 7 points, 6 rebounds, and she's had to play out of position a lot. She's had to play center with Sonogo in foul trouble.
21 plus strong minutes to this point. Fans trying to disrupt and will on this second free throw. Keep it at 41-33.
Yeah, Johnson not a great free throw shooter, 47% on the year. She's a good offensive player, but mainly as a driver.
That's what she was trying to do on that last possession before the foul. Snatched out of the sky and put underneath by Baker. There for the putback. Mishaw hasn't had a lot of time out there today due to some early foul trouble. You see her value when she is.
Yeah, that would help Virginia Tech a lot, but that was a great offensive rebound by Karis Baker.
Cuts it to 6, just a few possessions separating these teams now at the 3:50 mark in the third. It was the second and third quarters propelling both these teams to victory in the first round games. Looking like this one's headed for the fourth. And that's going to be the rare indicator of a little too much time in the interior. Here is the Mishaw bucket from a moment ago.
Yeah, followed up an offensive rebound by Karis Baker in a crowd. Got the miss, went back up, had a size advantage, and if Rose Mishaw can stay on the floor, that's a big plus for Megan Duffy's group.
Well, because of that foul trouble she was in early, that's her first bucket of the game. Player who averages double figures at 12.3 per contest.
And we saw a 3-second call on the other end. I think that's the second one I've seen this season.
Very rare. Mishaw again won't roll off the front of the iron, but she does draw the whistle.
And Coach Gerlich wasn't happy with that call very much. Like Coach Duffy wasn't happy with most of the first half calls.
Well, and what did you tell us just a few moments ago about officials?
If both coaches are unhappy, it must be even.
It's a pretty good indicator that at least you're calling it down the middle. They both have been at times tonight. But that just speaks to the competitive nature. You see it on the game face of Megan Duffy there. You saw it in the reaction of Coach Gerlich a moment ago. So important to extend your season, not just for this year, Coach, but also for what it gives you moving forward. Both coaches talking about the value of having their players used to being in deep March basketball games.
Yeah, and the extra practices, the extra reps against other people. And both these coaches are really big competitors. They were competitors as players. They're big competitors, and their teams reflect their personality.
Still battling it out for a championship trophy in the WBIT. And the right to head to Hinkle before the season is over. Blocked away. Here comes Wenzel. Looks out front to White. Great transition bucket. Vintage Hokies.
Hokies with the numbers after the block shot.
For the first time since the get-go here, it is a one-possession basketball game. Directing traffic with force, Maupin. Now to the right hand, she'll stop, elevate. Beautiful kiss right off the front of the rim.
So valuable. They struggled so much with her on the bench.
You see what Mishaw means back in the game for Virginia Tech. You see what Maupin means on the floor for Texas Tech in succession.
Great point.
Wenzel now. And she'll contact nothing as Wenzel is just off the mark. Speaking of, back to that last Hokies success moment.
Yeah, Carly Wenzel gets the block right there. That ignites a fast break. Hokies run. Texas Tech not back in transition, and the really nice finish by Lonnie White.
This time the foul is called as White reached around in an effort to disrupt the shot from underneath.
Just the second foul on Virginia Tech in the third quarter.
Hokies currently having outscored Texas Tech 15-7 in the third. To cut it currently to 4, but Shavers to the line where she is 3 of 3 today, make it 4 of 4 for Shavers from the charity stripe.
Yeah, Shavers and Maupin both really 80+% free throw shooters. That's one of the reasons why Coach keeps the ball in their hands a lot.
Maupin limited with her time with that foul scenario. She hasn't been to the free throw line today. Shavers making up for it. She's hit 5 in that many tries. A little too strong, and that was off of Mishaw. She tried to gather it up. It'll be Texas Tech ball.
Yeah, Mishaw wanted to get that offensive rebound, but she also did not want to foul over the back.
1:47 ticking downward to go in the third quarter of a win and advance game in the WBIT. Florida UNLV winner awaits, that one being played right now as well. And Mishaw tried to stay straight up. Couple of players there. This is going to go against Baker, and everybody in Hokies colors. A little bit of an exhale right here.
Yeah, Texas Tech was trying to go to the post. It took them a reversal to get it in, but wide open right here. Baker comes over and gets a piece. Sends Sonogo to the free throw line, where she's not great.
Reason I say that, just an initial personal on Baker, and Mishaw is still trying to avoid that fourth. Sonogo, as you said, back of the iron this time. Nearly dialed it up.
48% on the season.
Sonogo, less than half of them. You got 1 field goal made today for her, and 1 free throw and 3 tries. She does sink the second, so keeping that average right where it had been this season. Press still very much applied by the Red Raiders. Hokies break it with 1:22 to play in the third.
Hokies have made up 5 points here.
Nice feed. Just enough touch from Eck, who was slicing to the bucket.
Make it 7. Cutting into the difference.
+7 in the third. And the Texas Tech team just one of its last 7 from the field now, with inside a minute with which to work.
Bristow in the game. Remember, she got in foul trouble in the first half, too, after a big basket on an out-of-bounds play.
Yeah, had that big 3, but was one of 3 with a couple of fouls. Here's Maupin, rises above, shows her shooting ability.
So athletic, she can just elevate.
The lead back to 7. Shot clock off for the Hokies. Virginia Tech faced a 12-point halftime deficit. Going to be less than that. How much less? Tapped aside, back into the hands of the Hokies. Wenzel, 3 seconds on the third quarter game clock. That rims off. And the horn sounds with a 7-point separation between these two. Everything Castle Hokies fans turning out for postseason basketball, becoming a rite of passage here in Blacksburg. 9:05 to play in the contest, right where we were at the half. A 12-point advantage reestablished, and you know likely who the two that have served as the catalyst for that have been.
Yeah, that's why we just talked about the fact that Shavers and Maupin have to stay on the floor for this offense to work well enough for the Red Raiders to try to come in here and get an upset in Blacksburg.
They have combined for 29 in the contest so far and are a perfect 8 of 8 from the free throw line, including those 3 Maupin hit just a moment ago. So that has created the separation once more. Inside, well guarded, and having to kick it back out top. 5 to shoot. Eck drives the baseline, goes no look on a reverse, and a bucket that touches nothing but the twine.
No look through the mask.
Of course, playing with a mask after an elbow caught her nose in round 1 action against North Carolina A&T. Has not affected her play today, just a precautionary effort for those of you just joining us. And this is a nice job. You're thinking maybe she had grabbed further contact. Shavers wanted an and one chance there.
She did, but she'll be happy with that 2 points, though. She'll be really happy if she can stay out of foul trouble on the other end. She and Maupin both have 3.
Texas Tech content to trade buckets with the Hokies right now. Tech trying to wreck them, Texas Tech that is, here in Blacksburg, and advance to the third round. Remember, they journeyed all the way, Laramie to begin things, then had to work their way across the country to Blacksburg, and this is a group showing no signs of being worried by the travel, just like they showed no signs of the difficulty they experienced mid-season. You talked about that streak that did not go their way, but they have hung in there and are in business in the fourth.
Homecoming for her. Back to Lubbock, Texas after venturing out to Corvallis, Oregon.
They're celebrating what they just saw from her in Lubbock right now. And this team, I'll go back to that point because I'd love for you to speak to it, Coach. They've had to go on a journey here since things didn't go their way with a deeper run in the Big 12 tournament. But boy, have they responded nicely in the WBIT.
Yeah, and they'll probably have to go on the road again. I don't think it bothers this bunch at all.
Yeah, things hold for the next 7-16. The Florida UNLV winner waits. Virginia Tech trying to battle back in the fourth and earn another opportunity on this floor Thursday night as the top seed in the WBIT.
Wow, yeah,
that's going to be over and back.
Yeah, it was a little delayed call, but it was clearly over and back. A little bit of a sloppy, unforced error right there. I'm not positive about that after I looked at it, because both feet and the ball have to be across that line.
I'm with you. I obviously knew what the call was going to be there, but
in real time, it looked like backcourt.
Second glance at it, you wonder. Inside 7 minutes to go, starting to be go time for the Hokies now. And a scramble for it.
Great rebound by Sonogo, and she's gotten fouled. She had a block that started that play on the last possession. There was so much going on, we didn't get to talk about it. But she's been a good rim protector.
Yeah, force inside in many ways. You know, we've referenced on more than one occasion the offensive rebounds, the second chance opportunities. You see what she's done on the defensive end there. One of the key contributors. Moppin slows things up. Such touch. She wanted a foul on the backside of that as well. Will not go to the free throw line, but does notch two more onto that lead.
Yeah, she again elevated, hung in the air, took the contact.
Good communication and a solid feed for Baker to lay it home on the Virginia Tech end.
Yeah, Wenzel with the nice push right there. Texas Tech didn't do a very good job getting back.
Well, the pressure from the combo of Wells and Wenzel ending up in a traveling call, and it'll be a turnover forced by Virginia Tech. Now's the time, Coach. 6:14 to play. You look up, the separation certainly there for Texas Tech, and these are key possessions for the Hokies.
Yeah, got to turn it up, got to get some scores, get their defense set. They've been picking up full court, which has caused Texas Tech a couple turnovers here. This time we may have gotten an offensive foul on Karis Baker.
It will be assessed. The sophomore from Connecticut. Baker picking up a second there, I believe.
He's had such a good season, averaging over 12 points, over 6 rebounds, having to play maybe a little bit out of position, plays both forward spot, plays some center some, shoots over 40% from three.
You think about what had to happen with so many of those key contributors for Virginia Tech today early. Esau and that trouble with those 2 quick whistles and 3 in the first half. You know what she's been, a force when she has been on the floor. There's been so many of those comrades of hers being called upon today. This is going to be reset. Moppin keeps it under control. No luck, and it's into the hands of Baker. Pestering defense, and Fritz takes it right back. A no-quit approach from Fritz, and a possession stolen away by Texas Tech. Boy, is that not a snapshot of exactly what Texas Tech has done throughout this WBIT right here?
They have hammered the offensive glass, and look at Fritz. She wasn't content to go to the other end. She got a hand in there. Hokies not alert with the basketball.
Not giving up on a single possession right now, and it earns a trip to the charity stripe. We were talking prior to the game with a number of those around the Texas Tech program and contingency. Mark Finkner and Chuck Hines, who are part of the outstanding radio crew here representing them. And they were talking about how relaxed this team has been and how they never broke stride or gave up when they were in that very tough stretch. Coach, on a possession like that, you see the character, makeup, and to borrow Coach Gerlich's word, chemistry of this team on display.
To go through a 9-game losing streak and everybody still be headed in the same direction and pulling for each other and dependent on each other, that's pretty impressive what they've done.
And have rolled it into already one win in the WBIT and a commanding lead here in the 4th. Scramble for it, and a possession arrow will be utilized. That'll keep it on this end of the floor as the alternating possession was with Virginia Tech. Time wearing thin, 5:05 left to go in what is now 18-point basketball game. Big turnaround. Mishaw back in there, shows her value. Just a gutsy move to spin forward and lay it home.
Yeah, and Texas Tech has gotten away with guarding her one-on-one, mostly because she hasn't been in there very much.
Freeland backs it out. And here's Maupin resetting. Texas Tech understanding the game scenario timing-wise and utilizing the majority of the shot clock. Here's a 3 with single digits there. Rebound off the Wenzel.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see Texas Tech take any quick shots in the half-court 5-on-5. They may do something in transition, but I think they'll be content to work that clock till they get something really good.
Boy, what a job she has done with this team. We mentioned it, one of the legendary players in the history of this program out of Spearman, Texas. A Red Raider through and through. And this is going to be knocked down by Baker from three-point land. Must-have-it moment for the Hope. Brian, a former linebacker on the Red Raider football team in the late 80s and early 90s. So that family giving so much of their life to Texas Tech. And you talked to her prior to the game. She was sharing with us, Coach, her desire to return this team to the glory they once enjoyed in Lubbock on the basketball front. Of course, the men's team still fighting, as you know. But in women's basketball, this is second postseason tournament opportunity in recent memory, and it is a building block if she can finish this off in Blacksburg today.
Yeah, Grant McCaslin, the men's coach, has done a really good job, and they're still alive in the NCAA tournament. And yeah, this program is in the Big 12, and the Big 12 has changed so much. Added 4 teams a year ago, added 4 more teams this year. It's a different looking thing. That no Texas or Oklahoma anymore, but Texas Tech women's basketball history is special, and Coach Gerlich is highly motivated to get back to where they were.
Yeah, the 93 grad over there for the 5th season. You could see the energy as she shared her passion for bringing this team back and creating the next chapter in their storied history. This certainly would be one of those wins to do that. Now, there's a ways to go here, but they find themselves up 15 with under 4 minutes to play in what would be a statement-type victory and a chance to play on. And she said it. How many teams, she asked the question, have played in WBIT action or historically across the sport of basketball, NIT action? And been in the NCAAs the next year? She said, we have designs on being one of those. Step taken that direction here, but the Hokies, as you would expect, not going away. Mishaw with a basket.
Yeah, the Hokies have battled all year too. Both of these teams have overcome a lot of obstacles and just a lot of things that you go through as a basketball program during the season, and they've both come out the other end with some successful seasons.
Yeah, a Virginia Tech team that finished much higher in the ACC than they were picked in the preseason. Call going to whistle taking this the other way with 3:24 to play. But you begin to step back, take a look at the Virginia Tech season in full. You know, much higher than expected, the finish she led this team to. Made some noise ACC tournament-wise. Right there on the cusp and in the conversation for an NCAA bid, the one beside their name in the WBIT. So there are trends to build on for the Hokies as well.
Picked 12th, finished tied for 8th, 9-9 in the league. Had some big wins, beat an undefeated ranked Georgia Tech team on the road early in the conference season. This team has done a lot of things nobody expected.
Rebound of the Red Raiders. Quickly out in the hands of Fritz.
First year for Coach Megan Duffy.
Well, you could sense the energy as we were working our way into Castle for this fan base. You know what it has meant, the Red Raiders.
Well, I think that you're talking about the fact that, yeah, we don't need to be in a hurry, but we need to attack the pressure and really be aggressive getting the ball down the floor. And probably not dribble down into the corner where you can get trapped and the coach has to call a timeout and bail you out.
5 to shoot. Down the left side, a little too strong. Mishaw the rebound. Mackie Nelson weighing her options. Hokies with a sense of urgency at the 2.5-minute mark. Eck zips it inside. Baker, there's contact and a chance for the Hokies to inch a little closer with the clock stopped as the foul is whistled with 2:26 to play.
Yeah, and as this game, if this game tightens up, Texas Tech is not a great free throw shooting team. 15th best free throw shooting team in the Big 12 at under 70%. Now, the ball's going to be in the hands of Maupin and Shavers most of the time, and they're outstanding free throw shooters.
Third foul on Johnson. She will take a seat. And Baker knocks it down. Pull with in 53-65. We'll try and knock down a 54th point, but it rims off. Rebound to Fritz.
Fritz really hustles. She's involved in everything.
Maupin tried to split the defenders, drew the contact, and the whistle's going to be on Eck.
And again, that's exactly what we were talking about. You're going to see the ball in the hands of Maupin and Schaefers whenever possible because they are such good free throw shooters and they're in the double bonus.
Well, they combined for 10 free throws today, split evenly between them, and are perfect from the charity stripe. You can make it 11 of 11, and 6 of those now belonging to Maupin.
And they have, just like the graphic we showed you about the first half, they were in the third quarter, 36 out of the 66, 37 out of the 67 points belong to Maupin and Shavers.
Yeah, 12 of those from the free throw line now. Boy, this combo going to be a nightmare, whether it's UNLV, whether it's Florida, because they found their shooting stroke in March when it matters most.
Yeah, and if you have good guards, that bodes well.
Not to mention the press and the defensive disruption that we saw earlier in this game also. This Texas Tech team, we don't have to tell you, you've seen it, very dangerous as they make what appears to be a deeper run in the WBIT. Now 2 minutes away from putting the finishing touches on what would be a statement win, an impressive win on a road environment here in Blacksburg. Slowing it up to that end is Maupin.
The Hokies made a good run, but that start was just too much to overcome in the end.
It was an 8-0 run to begin things and a 12-point lead at the half. You see it sitting at 67-53 with a blocking foul called at 1:45 to play. Obviously, a couple from the charity stripe on this occasion. The rest of the way as Shavers goes there. What's impressed you about the Mesquite native?
She just really plays under control. She's played some point guard today. She's had to play a little forward today. She's had to guard bigger people when they got in foul trouble. And again, a strong player, strong with the basketball, and just stepped up and made big shots and perfect from the free throw line. I always love that.
Well, our friend Evan Hughes does such a nice job on the radio side. He told us that that mid-60s mark, what you shoot for, right? Texas Tech on the doorstep of 70. And as a result, finding themselves well out front. Just over 90 seconds to play as Virginia Tech keeps making possession after possession count.
Yeah, and again, you see the difference with Rose Mishaw on the floor. I know we have talked about it, but it just changes how Texas Tech can play defense. They've got to help on her, which opens up the three-point shots. They haven't had to help on her. Therefore, Virginia Tech has struggled from the three-point line.
Well, let's briefly, while she is at the stripe here, talk for a moment with just a minute and a half to play about the seniors. Obviously, Eck battling again here today. Mishaw, who you saw there, and looking at it and talking about it. And, you know, so many of these players, Coach, are going to have an opportunity to build on this WBIT opportunity moving forward. That's true on both rosters. Strong crop of juniors for Texas Tech. You know how many of these young players have made their mark for Virginia Tech. But for a few, this is that last look moment.
Yeah, and Eck and Mishaw have been great contributors this year, and even last year as role players, played on a team that won the ACC championship, both Big Ten transfers, and they have come in here and and really become fan favorites.
1 minute to play, and this junior-laden crop of Texas Tech Red Raiders up double figures as time is taken to honor those. You were just referencing, Coach, as a number of players take their seat, and Mishaw, as we just alluded to, a nice round of applause from the Castle Coliseum faithful, not just for this day and her efforts, but for every day she has given of herself to this Hokies program.
Yeah, and the Hokie fans get a little look at the future. There are 4 freshmen out there on the floor.
Well, going back for just a moment to the 5 juniors in the starting lineup for Texas Tech. Not only what a deeper run in the WBIT means for the future of this Texas Tech program, but this is a team that has sent a strong message. They're suddenly a threat, taking down the top seed here, of making a deep run toward Hinkle Fieldhouse.
Yeah, and the Big 12, like the ACC, is a really good women's basketball league. They've had national championships, Baylor most recently, and and they come back with these 2 guards as a starting point, but a lot of depth that we'll be back to. You got to think Coach Gerlich is very excited if she can add a couple pieces to this group she's got already.
As you look across the landscape of the WBIT, somewhat reshaped, if this score holds for another 40 seconds or so. And what's the landscape of the teams that are out there that you're keeping an eye on now in the WBIT the rest of the way?
Yeah, see, on the other side, the bracket was in chalk. It was 1, 2, 3,
yes.
and 4 playing today.
Yes.
But the overall #1 seed looks like they're going down here in Blacksburg today. So things are shaking up on this side of the bracket. Texas Tech probably is excited. That doesn't matter whether they're going to Las Vegas or Gainesville.
Well, the road has worked out so well for this crop of Red Raiders. Why not stay on it a little longer? They find themselves under a half minute away from putting the finishing touches on a major victory here in Blacksburg. That'll go the other way as Peterson is set to inbound. But double digits the lead at the intermission, double digits the scenario now. An 8-0 run to start it. They withstood punch and counterpunch in the middle stages from Virginia Tech and are just a few ticks away now from surviving and advancing in the WBIT. Texas Tech makes the long journey from the Lone Star State. They're smiling in Lubbock as Tech able to wreck them. And I'm talking about the WBIT field in full. Second upset win for this group. Just how deep will they wreck them? You'll have to stick around to find out. But they do move forward to the quarterfinals, one step closer to Hinkle Fieldhouse and a championship opportunity. Coach, you step back.